Okay, so let's recap where we got to then. So I flew into Vancouver and cycled down the west coast, went through Seattle, got on a few ferries, went through Astoria where the Goonies house is, some beautiful scenery, met up with Carl and Eugene and Gabriel, and let's take it from there. So we set off, and it looks like we were a group for a bit, and we're going through some beautiful scenery. We saw an area, and I think lots of people find this area where there were lots of seals, and we saw them all on the rocks. And then I were trying to get creative, getting into the photography a little bit more, and I saw this lighthouse, and I'm trying to do the depth of field, but remember, I'm just using a phone or a compact camera there. We came across this bike shop, and they allow you to wash your clothes. Anyone that's doing the trip, they allow you to wash your clothes and have a shower, which was an ace bike shop. I saw my first fat bike there, and again, I came back and bought fat bike, built it up myself. Told you, go through bicycles. Then having a look at this, showing you some of the food that we made and all the different cycle tourers that we met. We're starting to see a lot more cycle tourers now. There was a family on tandems, and they were going all the way from Alaska all the way to Argentina. They were doing the full route with, two little kids, babies, and met those. Met a couple of older cycle tourers that do the route every single summer, or did back then. They'd done it a few times, but the scenery was just stunning. It was great that Carl also had a ice cream addiction like mine, and really beautiful seas, beaches just to yourself. Beautiful sandy beaches, and you just had them to yourself. We camped on the beach a couple of times, and then we are making our way to California. We get to the Californian border. You have to have that sign, picture by that sign. Lots of lovely food. We met another gang of young lads that were cycle touring, and then we hit the Redwoods. So the Redwoods were just magical. They were huge, absolutely huge. You can't really get a sense of it from the pictures. Yes, some were wide, but the height, they just kept on going up and up and up, and yeah, they were good. And we found a campsite in the Redwoods National Park area, and on a night when it was quiet, you could hear the creaking, and it got you a bit worried, because what they call them widow makers, because even if a branch fell on your head, geez, that'd take your tent out, would that? Also showing how we had to put our food in boxes, and even though there were lots of signs for bears, especially right at the start of this trip, and mountain lions, there were still signs for bears and mountain lions going towards Oregon and California as well. And I think they were mainly to keep critters out as well. But I have a story about bears which I'll share a bit later. So this guy here in the blue t-shirt, he's very important to the story, because I was talking about getting a tattoo because I'd seen all these cool people from San Francisco with these tattoos. And remember, tattoos were a fashionable thing in England at that point as well, back in 2014. And he said, oh, my auntie owns a tattoo museum in Fort Bragg. So when I went to Fort Bragg, that's where I got my tattoo. So in Fort Bragg, I found the place and I went in, and it was like a museum. It had all sorts of memorabilia, tattoo memorabilia all around. And all I knew, because I'd seen these cool Sailor Jerry retro type tattoos, the Betty Boo type stuff, the 1950s, that's the style that I really love, and that's what I still go for now. And I designed it. Well, I told them what I wanted. I wanted the the trees, the waves, the surf, and for that Sailor Jerry type style, it needed to have a lady on as well. So put it all together. And because my mom has had a couple of tattoos at that point, I thought it can't be that painful to have a tattoo. So this, he says, how big do you want it? And he went, have you had any tattoos before? I was like, no. It says, but if I'm going in, I want to go big. So it top half of my back. And as soon as he put the needle in, I was like, this hurts. And in my head. And after about 5 minutes, I thought, this is painful. I'm starting to feel faint. And I went, oh, can you just show me how much you've done? And the tattoo also has like West Coast on the bottom of it. And he went, oh, yeah. They got the mirror. He went, just done the W. I was like, and this has got to go the whole of my back. And I says, I feel a bit faint here. And he went, have a Coke and you'll feel fine. So they had Coke, some Coke there, I had a Coke. And I'm not joking, after that, came round, I was fine, and I was in the chair for 8 hours. 8 hours having this done. And then I still had to put my top on and then cycle to the campsite after that. And when I was in there, because it was a museum, there were people coming round all the time. That grey hair's bugging me. And it was open to the public to walk around. And there was some American guys came in and they were tattooed all over the place. And they said, is this your first tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And he went, geez, you Brits go all in, don't you? And I was like, yeah, it seems that way. But yeah, so that's my tattoo story. So after Fort Bragg, we got to San Francisco and we went over Golden Gate Bridge. And I had loads of video footage and camera pictures of going over the bridge, but don't know where they are. I'm rubbish at keeping track of stuff like this. And we also, went up and down those really steep roads, and it's unbelievable how steep those roads are. We did a bit of that, and we also took a trip out to Yosemite, and again, I had loads of pictures from there, and can't find them all. I've done searches in the Google Photos app, and I cannot find any at all. So what I'll do is I'll leave this section here, and in future video, that should be the last one then of this trip. But it's a brilliant section. We go through Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, stopped on a yacht, all very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff yet to come.